If the first wrong turn portrays primitive, savage survival hunting, then the second depicts a regulated, bloody siege. Next, the narrator takes the audience to dissect the hidden human currents within this bloody arena. The story takes place in West Virginia. Kimberly rushes to the reality show's filming location according to her agent's instructions. Unexpectedly, as her car enters the fork in the road, the signal suddenly cuts off. She quickly checks her phone, but the next second, confirming she hit a person, Kimberly suppresses her fear and gets out of the car to check. When she discovers the person is not dead, she quickly extends her finger to help clear their airway. Just as she manages to stabilize the situation, at that very moment, when Kimberly stands up, her lips are already traumatized. She tries to escape, but someone grabs her by the neck. A detail to note here is that mutants can self-repair their bones. Meanwhile, the production crew, unaware of this, arrives at the filming location. The reality show is called Apocalypse. Dale, who is responsible for supervision and guidance, is a retired Navy colonel. The next 5 days, 6 contestants are divided into 3 groups and exiled to the wilderness. The person who lasts until the end receives a reward of $100,000. It is important to note Kimberly's leg tattoo, which foreshadows later events. Seeing that Kimberly is late, Michael assumes she is acting like a diva and decides to have his fiancée Mara substitute for her. Upon receiving an affirmative reply, Dale immediately organizes everyone to head to the camp and then begins to read the rules. After the challenge begins, each person receives 1 card daily. One of the cards has radiation on it, and whoever receives it is eliminated. However, numerous sensors are placed in the mountains, each containing a task. By completing the challenge, contestants can transfer the radiation card to other players. The final elimination result, it will be announced at 6 p.m. during the gathering. After everyone hands over their electronic devices, they immediately rush into the forest. But they never expect that the sound of the sensor just now has already attracted a terrifying presence. As the guard's neck is neutralized, the monitoring system on their ears completely fails. Meanwhile, Dale, unaware of this, is setting up sensors around the camp, but just as he prepares to leave, he discovers that all the tires are shot through with arrows. Then a sound comes from the forest. Noticing something is wrong, he immediately rushes in. When he sees the damaged sensors, he can no longer suppress the anger in his heart.
Better stand down, or someone's gonna get hurt!
Dale is so scared that he takes off running, but the arrows constantly follow him like a shadow. Seeing that he cannot shake off the pursuit, Dale can only choose to fight back. But before he has time to look around, an axe pins itself in front of him. Seeing a monster standing not far away, Dale quickly draws his dagger and throws it. But what he never expects is that the supposedly fatal injury has no effect whatsoever. Feeling a sudden sense of dread, he tries to escape, but it is too late. When he wakes up again, he is already hanging from a tree. Seeing the organic evidence on the chopping board and the guard's corpse, Dale instantly guesses his predicament. But before he can think of a countermeasure, mutants appear before him. Looking at their terrifying faces, Dale freezes in place. This is taken as a provocation, and he receives 3 brutal stabs. Fortunately, the blades are relatively short, and they do not hit any vital organs. Seeing Dale's eyes regain clarity, mutants are finally satisfied and sit aside to sharpen their knives. Meanwhile, Amber, who served in Iraq, is the first to notice something unusual. Ever since they entered this mountain forest, apart from their footsteps, she has not heard any other sounds. There are no insect chirps or bird calls. Jonesy, however, not only dismisses her concern, but also believes Amber is hinting at him. After all, the production crew has been setting up here for so long, so any wild animals would have already been scared away. Amber feels helpless after hearing this, but she also lets go of her doubts. But just then, a familiar smell wafts over them. The two quickly walk forward to investigate. When they discover it is a campsite, Amber's recently calmed alertness surges back, but Jonesy walks directly towards the roasted meat. He then declares that by taking this meat back, they can win over others and increase their chances of winning. After hearing this, Amber immediately steps forward to help. Clearly, she also cannot resist the temptation of the huge prize money. Meanwhile, Michael has already brought 2 contestants to the riverbank. Under Jack's confused gaze, Elena, with a playful expression, begins to undress.
We are rolling.
What are you doing?
What the fuck? I am standing here giving it my all and this jock is just standing there.
Cut!
Okay, what's going on, man?
Look, man, I want to create chemistry between you two, okay? You guys are like the sex of this thing.
Well, look, man, I'm here to play the game, okay? Now, you can go grease the wheels. You can try catching some fish. I'll see if I can find some meat in the woods.
Seeing this, Michael has no choice but to give up. However, he is called back after only a few steps, hearing that they can continue filming as long as they give Elena more screen time. He agrees without hesitation. He thought this remote place would not be discovered. Unexpectedly, a pair of eyes watches them intently from the woods. Immediately after, Mara and Nina also arrive here. Seeing the two inseparable people, Mara completely breaks down, but she does not confront them. Instead, she chooses to leave this heartbreaking place. Unexpectedly, she accidentally discovers a wooden cabin. To leave quickly, Mara wants to borrow a phone to contact the caretaker. However, the house is empty. Smelling the pungent scent of blood, Nina senses something is wrong, but Mara insists on finding a phone. But when the two enter the inner room, they are stunned by the scene before them. They see that the photos are all of grotesque, deformed people, and among them are a pair of boy-girl twins. Next, they immerse themselves in this most iconic scene.
Baby's coming now. You stay here with me. I'm gonna take some water.
Mara and Nina quickly lock the door. But what they do not expect is that the windows are already sealed with barbed wire. Seeing the door about to be breached, the two women desperately brace the door with a bed. But before they can catch their breath, the door panel is breached, creating a gap. As the two women are at a loss, Nina discovers a light beneath the squat toilet. So the two women endure the stench and frantically pry open the bathroom floor. After the mutants open the door, the two women have already escaped. But before the smile fades from Nina's face, a sharp axe flies towards her. Mara instinctively rushes forward a few steps and then completely falls silent. Immediately after, a burly mutant runs over. Nina tries to contact the guard with the camera. But before she finishes speaking, a sound comes from behind her. She quickly throws away the device and hides behind a tree trunk on the other side. However, she underestimates the mutant's keen senses. Listening to the approaching footsteps, Nina holds her breath tightly. Fortunately, a mutant's child comes over in time. and she barely escapes a disaster. But before she can recover, Mara's finger is thrown over. Looking at the jagged break, she immediately understands what she is facing. Soon, the mutants take Mara back home. Seeing that 2 people are already killed, Dale finally decides to fight back. After the other mutants leave, he suddenly delivers a heavy punch to a vital spot. Intense pain instantly makes the mutants lose their ability to move. Dale seizes the opportunity to pick up a knife and cut the ropes on his feet. But before he can stand firm, the mutants pounce on him. Fortunately, Dale is agile. He not only dodges the fatal attack but also counter-injures them. To ensure foolproof safety, he delivers another fierce punch to the mutant's face. Then he unties the ropes on his hands. However, he does not know that what the mutants rely on for survival is their incredibly powerful self-healing ability. Dale dares not be careless in the slightest. After controlling them, he furiously throws punches, but doing this only wastes physical strength and cannot cause any substantial damage. Seeing the mutants get the shotgun, Dale rushes forward to snatch it. After a fierce struggle, he finally snatches the shotgun. Meanwhile, he endures his fatigue and leaves the riverbank. The unsatisfied mutants resort to self-pleasure. However, his wife catches him red-handed. After hearing the noise, she thinks it is Michael's prank, so she loudly calls out to the woods. Unexpectedly, she exposes her location. Her fair and graceful body completely enrages the mutant's wife. Hearing the urgent alarm, she finally realizes something is wrong. But before she can put on her clothes, the mutants rush down. Seeing the terrifying face, she is so scared that she runs away. However, she runs in the wrong direction and falls into the river. By the time the peeping mutants arrive, she is already lifeless. Meanwhile, he, unaware of this, has already returned to the RV. He wants to check on their movements. However, he finds that one device has lost its signal. He thinks he has bumped a connection cable, so he crawls under the table to check. He never imagines that the device has already fallen into the hands of the mutants. By the time Michael realizes something is wrong, the car has already started. He hastily pulls open the partition to block them, but before he can finish speaking, he is cut off. Then, an arrow pins him to the carriage. Meanwhile, at the camp, the 3 sit around a bonfire enjoying roasted meat. Jack is very curious about this. He cannot imagine what kind of wild game has such a good texture. But before Jonesy can finish speaking, a figure rushes out of the woods. Seeing Nina's disheveled appearance, the 3 rush forward to ask questions. When they hear there are mutants in the mountains and that they killed Mara, Jonesy immediately laughs. He thinks Nina wants to scare them away with this. After all, Mara is Michael's girlfriend. If they give up the competition, the 2 can save half of the prize money. Unexpectedly, before he can finish speaking, Nina is scared and turns to leave.
Get the fuck.
That's Kimberly's tattoo.
Holy shit. That's her leg. That's it. Game's over. Amber, let's go. Come on.
Jonesy!
Soon, the 4 people return to where they parked. But what greets their eyes are only tire tracks and empty equipment boxes. Thinking that the nearest town is 50 kilometers away, the group completely breaks down. Just then, Nina suddenly remembers the abandoned paper mill located on the main road. So she prepares to go there to look for a phone. Unexpectedly, she is interrupted before she can finish speaking.
Dude, you know why they call it abandoned? Because there's nothing in it anymore, including phones.
Hey!
Don't hurt me.
That's a bear trap.
There's no animals around here. Why do they have a fucking bear trap set?
They're not trapping bears. They're trapping people. There's no wildlife to eat around here. They're eating us.
Upon hearing this, Jonesy instantly changes his mind. But he runs not far before encountering active mutants. Seeing the familiar hair color, Jack immediately leads the charge to stop them. But then the group stops. It turns out the mutants are wearing Alina's entire grizzly trophy on their heads. Nina is so scared that she runs away. But as a result, she accidentally steps on a trap. Immediately, the mutants pick up their weapons and pounce. Seeing that the mutants can self-repair their bones, the three people are so scared that they turn and run. But unexpectedly, the other party does not chase them. Instead, they get into a car and go elsewhere. Seeing this, Jack quickly tells the two to go to the paper mill first, while he goes to find Nina. But the three do not know that Chris and the others from the previous movie also encountered TH situation. No matter where they run, they cannot escape the pursuit. It is not until they directly confront the mutants at the very end that they successfully escape this terrifying place. For those interested, they can watch the explanation of the first movie. Next, we continue back to the story. Following Nina's cries for help, Jack quickly finds her exact location. Who would have thought that just as he rescues her, the roar of an engine comes from not far away? What makes the two even more desperate is that the other side of the mountain is a cliff. Looking at the hunting rifle in the mutant's hands, Jack, who has no other choice, he pulls her into the river, temporarily escaping danger. Jonesy is not as lucky as the two of them. He steps directly into the mutant's trap, and his entire body is instantly hoisted into the air. When she discovers an axe on the ground, Amber, unable to bear it, decides to save him, but she does not expect this to also be a trap. Immediately, the mutants appear before her.
Look down.
I'm here.
Amber, I'm scared.
You're not alone. All right, I'm gonna get us out of here.
You know, my mother always used to say I'd live for.
Meanwhile, Dale finds a wooden cabin. But what he does not expect is that an old man with a normal appearance lives inside. Even so, he still dares not relax his guard. After all, anyone who can live in an area where mutants are active is definitely not a good sort. It is not until the old man reveals his identity as a believer that Dale finally lowers his guard. If one remembers the first step, one discovers that this old man is the owner of the gas station. The story continues. He looks at the bow, arrow, and bombs placed opposite him. Dale cannot help but ask. He learns the old man uses them to blast trout. He does not expose the truth. After all, living in this place indeed requires some special defensive measures. He then turns the topic to the photo on the table. However, the other man is unwilling to talk much about his wife, as the old man leads the conversation to the mutants. A truth spanning 30 years is finally revealed.
You know, you one lucky son of a bitch. A lot of folk go in them woods, never seen one come out. I stay clear of them myself.
How many of those freaks are out there?
Hard to know. More than the ones you run across, that's for sure.
What are they?
Just like you and me, brother, except uglier. And a lot stronger.
From the old man, he learns that 30 years ago, the paper mill closed down, and the chemical waste left behind severely polluted the water source. Nearby animals successively go extinct, and residents also move away one after another. Only one family insists on staying, but long-term consumption of the polluted water. The children born to this family are all deformed. What is even more terrifying is, due to the family's long-term isolation from the world, they fall into a vicious cycle of inbreeding, and their descendants become increasingly deformed and brutal. Hearing this, Dale's stress instantly drops, but what he cannot understand is why the old man still remains. Since it is impossible to survive here.
Gotta stay close to my youngins.
Hearing this, Dale instantly understands everything, so he pushes him onto the table, then lights the fuse and attaches the bomb to the old man's waist. But what he does not expect is that the other party not only does not deal with it but instead chases him out with a gun. As the explosion sounds, the old man instantly vanished explosively. At the same time, Jack and Nina finally arrive at the paper mill. But after they enter the office, they find that the phone is completely unusable. And in a nearby cabinet, a mummified little girl is hiding. The two, sensing trouble, run away. Unexpectedly, they accidentally stumble upon the RV. But to their shock, the factory contains a large number of cars from different years. Clearly, the people in these cars all became food for the mutants. Just then, Michael's screams suddenly come from inside the RV. The two rush downstairs to save him. To ensure nothing goes wrong, Jack also grabs a pipe wrench nearby. But when he enters the vehicle, he discovers the sound is actually a video playing on the computer. When he sees Michael's body dismembered, Jack instantly realizes he has fallen into a trap. But the mutants are already behind him. He tries to resist, but it is useless. He is then knocked unconscious with a punch. When he wakes up again, he is already hanging from a rack. Nina is locked in an iron cage, and next to her is a female's grim remains. What makes her even more distraught is that the mutants are processing Michael's body. A strong urge to vomit instantly rises in her throat. But the mutants do not give her a chance. Just as Nina is at a loss, the mutant's wife suddenly stands up.
Fuck you!
When Nina wakes up again, she is already tied to the dining table. Immediately after, the mutants bring dinner and serve her a portion. Aside from the fact that the ingredients are Michael's flesh, its appearance alone is enough to make one nauseous. But the mutants give her no chance to refuse and directly force the meat into her mouth. At the same time, Dale follows the sound and reaches outside the door. But before he can figure out the situation, the device on him activates. He discovers the identifier is on the motorcycle, and Dale quickly pulls out a card to eliminate the signal. However, Nina's cries come from inside the house. Realizing he is exposed, he quickly hides. Immediately, two mutants appear before him. Seeing this, Dale immediately slashes his arm and then drips his blood all the way to the RV. After the mutants are lured over, he unhesitatingly releases the bowstring. Mutants inside the room hear the commotion and immediately grab their weapons and run out. This creates an opening for Dale to save her. Looking at the dagger wedged in between, Nina first hesitates for a few seconds and then forcefully pulls her arm free. Before she can catch her breath, the barbed wire on her other arm stretches taut. Nina sees this and can only force the grisly trophy out. The intense pain almost makes her faint, but time gives her no chance to recover. After learning the exact location of the exit, Nina endures the pain and runs out. Dale continues to save Jack. Unexpectedly, just as he neutralized the ropes, he is attacked by mutants.
Find Nina. Go. I got it. Go.
Seeing this, the narrator can no longer hold back. Although Dale's physique is quite robust, his blood loss cannot possibly be more than a pig's. Some of this blood were given to Kimberly, who was split in half at the beginning. She would have had no blood at all. Next, the story continues. Looking at the rapidly operating shredder, Jack desperately begs for mercy. However, this only further enrages the mutants. After hearing this, Nina feels conflicted, but remembering everything that happened before, she ultimately chooses to save him. Seeing this, Nina immediately pulls the switch, and the unsuspecting mutant is directly thrown into the shredder. The screams abruptly stop. Nina and Jack completely escape the danger. But the shadow hanging over the mountains does not dissipate. Finally, the narrator briefly explains why the mutants imprison Nina in a cage and also give her food. Although the movie does not explicitly state this point, but through the mutants' childbirth, their complete family structure, and the female Grimm remains in the cage, it is not difficult to see. The mutants are always trying to improve their offspring. Therefore, they keep a female, and the mutants' reaction during filming further confirms this point. Unfortunately, their genes have already mutated, so they are simply unable to mate with normal humans. Alright, that concludes today's content. See you in the next episodes.